So then, I've just bought the cheapest Bmw 335i in the UK. Of course, I have actually bought this car to clean up and sell on for a profit, which is what we're going to be doing. So then, I bought this car unseen from an auction, and on the mechanical report, it said it had a misfire, which is one of the reasons why I feel like I got it so cheap. But I've gone to go and pick this car up, and I've actually started the car up and realised it hasn't got a misfire at all, so I don't know what they're on about. So that's kind of paid off in my favour, and why we've also got ourselves an absolute steal in my opinion. So then first of all, I'm going to show you around the car and all the nice features on it, and you can get back to mine, give it a service and see how we get on. Hopefully we can actually make a pretty decent profit out of this car, maybe even double our money. Pretty sure that the colour on this car is space grey. It's got xenon headlights on it down here. It's not an M Sport, as you can probably tell by the bumpers on it. It's an SE, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the first models that came out before they actually did M Sport kits on these cars, because it is a 2006, so end of 2006 I think this car came out. It would have been top spec back in its time. I'm not too bothered anyway, because it's a really nice spec car and it's got all the paperwork to back up anyway. Wheels on it as well, 19-inch BBS wheels, so they're genuine BBS BMW wheels. I think they're BBS twist or something like that is what they call them. It really stands out in this car. I think they're another optional extra, and the tyres all around the car is another thing to note. They're all matching tyres, which is a good sign. They might be mid-range or budgets, but it's nice that they're all matching as they've got plenty of life left in them. The bodywork on this thing is really clean, considering now this is probably an 18-year-old car. It's done really well compared to probably a lot of other cars out there of its age. It doesn't really have a blemish on it at all as well. So another standout feature on the 335 that you've probably noticed that doesn't come on any of the other E92s is usually they'll have either a single pipe or a twin pipe on one side, but the 335 petrol and the diesel one have twin pipes, basically one on each side, which is a really nice feature, and I'm a big fan of that. It suits these really well, and judging by how low it sits, I feel like it's already got the M Sport suspension on it from factory. Anyway, there's not too much else on the outside of it that we can really go over. Of course, you probably noticed that there, that's for the sat nav. Okay then, so another thing I actually nearly forgot about is the front brakes on these. They're slightly bigger than the rest of the E92s, and of course the M3s have even bigger brakes, which is probably what you need in one of these anyway. As you can probably also tell, it's got a black kidney grille in it, which doesn't really bother me. Anyway, let me pop the bonnet and show you under there. So another feature that I nearly forgot to note is it's got front and rear parking sensors, which I don't think all of them have. Anyway, let's take a look under there. Of course, it's got a 3 litre straight six engine, and to make it even better, twin turbo, which is perfect. It's fairly standard in here, but someone has definitely added some cone filters on here, some ram air filters, some blue vacuum lines, so they've replaced them. But apart from that, it's an unmodified and unmolested example. Anyway, that's that under there. I'm going to be coming back to under here in a bit when we service the car, of course. Okay, so on the inside then, another lovely feature is this car's got iDrive, which is a pretty rare thing in these, and of course it's an optional extra. It's got front and rear parking sensors, heat seats, navigation system, all that sort of stuff anyway. Unfortunately, it's not got a black roof lining in it. I wish it kind of did, and it's not got the better speakers in it, but it's still got speakers in it, hasn't it? And down here as well, we've got flappy paddles, auto gearbox, 6-speed. It's not the DCT gearbox, but it is still a pretty good gearbox, and it shifts nice and smooth, which is what we want really, isn't it? So I think it's like forward to go down, and then, you know, up by tapping it up a few times, which is nice. And the iDrive in the car, that all works perfectly, and it's also come with the upgraded or newest version of the sat nav disc. So another feature then is up here as well. You see these buttons here, they're quite rare, and you don't see them on every one of these anyway. So to me, that says someone who bought this basically was quite wealthy, and back in 2006 they had like an electric garage door, and basically press that button and it will basically open or close the garage doors, which is really cool. Probably doesn't still work, or somewhere across the UK we might be opening someone's garage door, who knows. So in here, it's a really nice and high spec car, and it's got some great features. This is probably the cheapest twin turbo petrol car you can buy right now. This is basically like a modern day 2JZ, as they say. It's got a full service history, low owners, it's only done 101,000 miles. It runs absolutely perfectly. So I've only paid £2,750 for this car. Well, £2,749.30 for this car. So then I feel like we've got ourselves a lot of car for the money, especially in today's car market. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you buy one of these at this money, or would you buy something else? So my plan with this car basically then is to clean it up, give it a nice fresh service, 12 months MOT on it, and then we can put this up for sale and make a nice and healthy profit on it. Let's see how we get on. So I can only apologise as well about the wind noise outside. Today it's unbelievably windy, to be honest with you, and it's nearly blowing me away. Another great feature, which is pretty rare, it's got 3 keys. I'm not sure all of them work, but 2 definitely do. Anyway, let's start it up and get back. As you can see down here as well, service overdue, so we definitely need to give it a fresh service, don't we? Mileage is here, 101,377, does about 24 miles per gallon. So then, driving this car, it drives absolutely perfect. I really can't fault it. I'm not really used to driving autos, but even the box in it works perfectly fine. Brakes in it are good, you know, there's not a noise from it, so I'm really happy about that. No misfire, that's great. But it's really nice to drive, and I love the noise that a straight 6 makes as well. So if I kick down, just go, you can hear the turbos. to be honest, if I was on the lookout for another BMW, because I've still got my car, the old high mileage 330D, I'd probably get something like this, you know, because it's got all you need. Sometimes less is more, let's say. The thing that I don't really like so much about newer cars, for example, is that a lot of them, they have too much in them and they take away a lot of the driver feeling, as you probably all know anyway. But this is kind of like a nice balance of modern and old. Like, it's got all the stuff in it, like, you know, like all the stuff here, like the iDrive, that's all you really need. You can still feel everything. The car itself feels nice and responsive, you know, it drives well, you can feel the road, but what more do you need than that is all I can say. But that's the thing, cars now, they're just getting more and more obviously complicated and technical in this. But stuff like this I feel like is like the nice sort of balance between old and new anyway. Well, again, I love the auto box in it, it shifts basically. The gearbox in this isn't too sluggish and bad, because I've always kind of thought, like, auto gearboxes are really slow and sluggish, but they're getting better as time goes on. But I feel like for a 2006 car, the gearbox in this is up to a really good spec. Like, if I want to just drop down now, there you go, and it just drops down. I really feel like the stigma of BMWs is, you know, wrong really. I feel like the problem with that is people tend to buy them who can't afford to run them, let's say, so they'll buy the BMW, they won't look after it properly, and then things will start to break and they'll complain about the cost it is. But that's, you know, the cost of running them really, isn't it? But it's like, if you look after the car, it will look after you. Like, if you service it regularly, you do this and that till you do the little things on it that need to be done, then it'll be fine. I mean, I've never really understood that with people, but there we go. Everyone's got their different opinions on things like that, but that's my take on it. Like anything out there though, if you look after it, it'll look after you, so you may as well take care of your stuff, you know, and then it'll just go on forever. Like I say, my car, 280,000 miles nearly, starts up every time, runs every time, it never causes me too much drama. You know, the only things I can say is it's like on these, the problem with them is there's quite a lot of plastic on them, like in the engine, for example, say like water hoses, inlet manifold, stuff like that. People say, oh yeah, they're cheaping out, but if you think about it, it's not entirely down to cheaping out and stuff. It's kind of also weight saving as well at the same time. Like, BMW is pretty well known for maintaining like a 50-50 balance pretty well. So it's also like the biggest part of the engine, the biggest part in weight of the car, of course, is where the engine is. And then if they can cut down on the weight of that, it also creates a better balance in it, if you think about it. So that's probably part of the reason. But how BMWs drive, to me, they drive absolutely perfectly, and I can't fault them there. So to me as well, this is the best mix of everything. You've got a 3 litre straight six, of course, it's got an automatic gearbox, not my sort of thing, but it's a nice gearbox. It drives smooth, it runs perfectly. There's not really much else that you need apart from that. And of course, everyone's opinions vary on things, but you know, I like BMWs, and this to me, this is a nice BMW. You know, it's not slow, it's got poke to it, holds the road, it drives well, it's responsive, it's fast, you know, stuff like that. There you go. I can't fault it. Power sensor is going to work. Let's take a look. Seems to be working well enough to me. Time to service it then. First of all, then we need to remove the pollen filter from the car, which is held down by a few 8mm bolts. Once we've got that off, we can remove the scuttle tray. The only thing holding that down is two 8mm bolts at each side. Once we've removed that, it allows us access to the bolts on the back of the engine cover, which we're going to need to remove to get to the spark plugs. Now that we've got the engine cover out, all we need to do is pull the coil packs out. All we do then is pull the tabs up on them, pull the electrical connector out, and they pop straight out. Now then, we need to remove spark plugs. So to do this, we need a special spark plug socket. It's in these BMWs and some Minis. It's that there's a much thinner spark plug socket that we need to gain access to them. That's all down to the design of the engines, and all it is the actual body of the spark plug. It's got a 16-point socket on it, and they're much thinner. So basically, you won't be able to fit a normal spark plug socket down there. Also, when we're removing the spark plugs and inspecting them, we found that they're pretty worn. So another thing I've noticed then is on this, someone's put index 12 injectors on it, which is a good thing because usually these are really common to fail, and these injectors alone are probably about £2,000. Okay then, so we've got the plugs out now. As you can see, they're quite worn and quite old, so they definitely need changing. So these are heat range 6. What we're going to be changing them out for then is heat range 7. A lot of people do this because it helps the engines run basically smoother because they get quite hot in there. Anyway, let's put the new plugs in and get it sorted out. So just for a quick side by side, you can see the old ones compared to the new ones look nice and fresh, and the other ones are really worn. So if you're also new to the channel and you haven't already done it, do us a big favour, tap that subscribe button for us and you'll see all the other stuff that we've got coming up. You're probably wondering then, why did I bother to change the heat range of the spark plug? The main reason for that then is, for example, if someone bought this car and they wanted to go stage 1 on the car and map it, it would be more than ready for that with these plugs in it. I also did this because these plugs were cheaper to buy than the heat range 6 plugs, and of course in the long run it would be better for the car and whoever is going to own this car, just in case they wanted to map it. Also, judging by the plugs, dropping it down a heat range would also be beneficial to the running of the car overall. Now that we've got new spark plugs in there, all we need to do is pretty much reverse taking everything apart, put the coil packs back in, put the engine cover back on and then get the scuttle tray back on. Now that we've sorted out, all we need to do is get the old oil filter out, change that out and drop the oil out. If you are doing an oil filter on one of these as well, make sure that it is a decent brand. In a minute you'll see exactly why. Okay then, so now I've got the car jacked up, all we need to do is undo this 70mm or 90mm bolt here, let all the old oil out and then we can put the new oil and a new filter in it. Okay, so while we're waiting for that oil to drain up, we're going to change the oil filter. Okay then, so I've undone the oil filter now and I've pulled it out of this cage in here because it's stuck on the inside of it. As you can see, it's started to deform a little bit, so it's definitely due changing. Anyway, let's put the new filter in. As you can see then, having a half decent brand of oil filter is quite important, because if you're fitting an oil filter like that and it twists up like that, it could actually kill your engine and starve the whole engine of oil. So make sure that if you're fitting one of these, it's got a proper cage inside of it, otherwise under pressure all it's going to happen is that filter is going to twist and it's going to basically cause the oil pressure to reduce, so it might start to cause all sorts of issues, Vanos issues. The new oil filter in, I've dropped all the old oil out. All I need to do then is tighten the sump plug back up and then we can drop the car down, put some fresh oil in it and check all the levels are okay. As you can see as well, it's starting to get dark, so I've managed to pull everything off just in time. So today, after a good rest then, what we're going to be doing is basically giving this car a nice deep and thorough clean and making sure that it looks absolutely immaculate. As well as that, we've got to take the car for its MOT and hopefully it should pass. Once we've got all of that stuff sorted, we can get some nice photos of this thing and get it straight on sale. But I'm not going to bore you with all the cleaning stuff, and first of all, before we get too stuck in, I'm going to reset a service light on it as I didn't do it last night. Okay, so it's another day now and we've got some more daylight. What I'm going to do quickly now then is reset the service light and then we can move on to cleaning the outside of the car, making it look all good, getting some good photos of it, and then we can put it through its MOT and get it straight for sale. Anyway, let's get on with it. Okay then, so first of all we need to put the key in the ignition, of course. Turn the ignition on with the start button, get that all on, and down here there is a little tab for the OBD which I'm going to pop off, plug it into there, and then we'll reset the service light. Okay then, so on here all I've done basically is tap this one and reset it. Availability above 80%, we don't need to do that anyway, but just tap anyway because I've just done it. So it's a condition based service and it will kind of, you know, keep coming up on the ECU on the computer as and when required, and of course it will read it through, it will flick up and it will say that it's done. As you can see, I'm not really going to touch all the others apart from spark plugs, and I've also done brake fluid because, you know, the brakes were done recently. Fluid looks okay, I've checked that. Microfilter, do that as well of course, and then it's all done. Okay then guys, so I've just been to collect the 335i from its MOT and it's passed with no advisories, which is brilliant. So all I need to do now then is put it straight up for sale and we can see how much profit we can actually make on this car. Here it is then. As you can see now, this car looks absolutely immaculate. I ended up listing this car for $5,650 and selling it in around 3 weeks for £5,000, which if you ask me isn't a bad profit at all considering what we've actually done to it. Of course, I'm going to be leaving it here for now, but I just want to say thanks for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and of course, if you want to see more stuff that I'm doing with cars, then just tap down below, hit subscribe, and see what's going up, and I'll catch you next time.
Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid.